Hello, everyone. Another piece of the puzzle that goes to show that the war in Ukraine is well beyond Ukraine and Russian relationship is the historic presidential runoff in Romania, where the candidates are primarily known as pro-Ukraine and anti-Ukraine. Romania was one of the countries that fell into the Soviet bloc. So they were still an independent country, but they were entirely under the heel of the Soviet Union. So that memory is still fresh among many Romanian people. And now we have these two candidates, one of whom a pro-Russian far-right candidate emerged with a huge margin. His opponent, just a short while ago, seemed to have very little chance of winning. But now they are neck and neck. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, that is going to be tremendously impactful for the future of the European Union and the world. It was never just about Ukraine. Meanwhile, all eyes continue to be on Istanbul. So this is interesting. So Trump basically is again setting himself up for failure when it comes to ending the war in Ukraine. After boasting he could finish it in 24 hours, basically he's saying, sit down and negotiate right this second or I am out of this. So if the negotiations fail, or if one or both parties fail to show up, Trump can just say, see, I did everything I could, and it's basically their fault. I agree with Zelensky that what's the point if both he and Putin are not present? Let's talk eye to eye. Isn't that what Trump wanted after all? So he issued a challenge to Putin and come talk. Putin has yet to respond to this challenge. But again, I agree, if you aren't willing to take it, don't dish it out. There's now some speculation that Putin, who initiated this, who refused to accept EU's proposal for ceasefire that was supposed to start on Monday, that in insisting on a meeting in Istanbul has gotten more than he bargained for. Because it is very likely that he was just expecting to send a delegation to pretend to make an effort at some kind of peace. Instead, he has a challenge. And so now the ball is lodged firmly in his court. And he has yet to say anything, and the clock is ticking. And again, I agree with Zelensky in that it doesn't really even make sense to waste time unless there is an unconditional ceasefire. It has to be something meaningful. There has to be no nuances, as the Russian press likes to say, no aspects, no complexities. Unconditional 30-day ceasefire. Full stop. We'll see what happens. I want to finish with this article about Ukrainian author Victoria Amelina in Kiev Independent. Amelina was killed in Kramatorsk back in 2023. At the time, she was writing a book, looking at women, looking at war, traveling around the country, gathering various stories of women specifically affected by war and bearing the brunt of it all. The article is written by one of her personal friends and collaborators, talking about the complexities of the book itself, not to mention writing it. And they cite the main drawback as the fact that the stories are incomplete. Not only did the war continue for the next 2 years, but also we don't know how it all ends. I would argue that perhaps it's not a bad thing. People read a book, they expect some kind of optimistic, happy ending. In this case, this is not the case. Maybe the fact that after reading about all of the trials and tribulations of women and children described in the book, it will sink in that it's up to us to bring about a satisfactory conclusion. More to come.